Hello everyone and welcome to the weird, scary and horrible parts of humanity. Today we are looking at the murders committed by the Gonzalez sisters, known as La Poquianches, who were seen as the most prolific murdering partnership in the world, having committed at least 91 murders between 1945 and 1964. The Gonzalez sisters, known as La Poquianches, were from the north-central Mexican state of Guanajuato, living near San Francisco del Rincon. They were all born in El Salto, Jalisco, Mexico, and consisted of Maria de Jesus Gonzalez Valenzuela, born in 1912, Maria del Carmen Gonzalez Valenzuela, born in 1924, Maria Luisa Gonzalez Valenzuela, born in 1926, and Delfina Gonzalez Valenzuela, born in 1928. Delfina was the group leader. Their family was very dysfunctional. Their father, Isidro Torres, was a police officer and a violent, arrogant and authoritarian man who frequently beat his wife, Bernardina Valenzuela, and his children. When the children wore makeup and clothes that he saw as risque, he would lock his daughters up in the town jail for a few nights to teach them a lesson. He also shot and killed a man during an argument. Isidro Torres also forced his daughters to see the executions of prisoners. By contrast, Bernardina Valenzuela was an extremely religious woman. The situation got so violent that Maria del Carmen ran away with her older boyfriend, Luis Jasso. Isidro Torres searched for her and upon finding her beat her and imprisoned her in the municipal prison. Isidro Torres then shot an alleged criminal, Felix Ornales, a landowner suspected of various crimes, leaving Maria del Carmen imprisoned for 14 months. She was eventually released when a man in his 50s broke her out. The pair fostered a love relationship that eventually produced a child. In order to avoid retaliation and flee the town, they changed their surname to Gonzalez. By 1935, the family lived in extreme poverty. The sisters worked in a textile factory, but it was barely enough to make ends meet. In 1938, Carmen met Jesus Vargas, a small-time criminal, and the pair began courting, with Carmen eventually moving in with Vargas. Opening up a small canteen in El Salto, Vargas squandered all profits until the canteen closed. Carmen promptly abandoned her partner and returned to her family. At the time, both of the sisters' parents died, leaving them with a reasonable inheritance. As a result, Delfina used the money to set up a brothel in El Salto, Jalisco. While prostitution was illegal at the time in Jalisco, it was rarely policed. However, authorities eventually caught on to the brothel and it was closed down, but that was not the last time that the sisters would operate a brothel. In 1954, Delfina moved the brothel to Lagos de Moreno, Jalisco. They managed to get into a good relationship with the local mayor through offering him sexual favours, with the mayor granting the sisters permits to operate a bar and bribed local authorities. Additionally, the Ministry of Health issued false control cards, which La Poquianches used to keep customers calm and simultaneously operate under the guise that all of the girls were healthy. There they ran several brothels, the most prominent being Rancho El Angel in Guanajuato and Jalisco, and operated a large-scale prostitution ring. Carmen, Delfina and Maria de Jesus operated the brothels in Guanajuato and Jalisco, while Maria Luisa operated the brothel on the Mexican-American border. The sisters bought a bar in Lagos, Jalisco from a homosexual man nicknamed El Poquianchi. This nickname was passed on to the sisters, who were called Las Poquianches, a nickname that they hated. While operating the brothel, Maria Luisa died of natural causes in 1955. Many of the girls had been recruited through help-wanted ads for housemaids, waitresses or maids and then forced into prostitution. Others were kidnapped off the streets. Other girls who were young as 12 were given by their parents, who were usually poor farmers, to the sisters in order to be servants without knowing that they were subjecting their children to prostitution. The girls were subjected to horrible abuse. Girls were raped vaginally, orally and anally. Virgins were saved until men came with fat wallets. They were also given cold ice water showers. In order to sedate the girls and make them submissive, many of the girls were force-fed heroin or cocaine. When the prostitutes became too ill, damaged by repeated sexual activity, lost their looks, were no longer wanted by customers, or were considered to be too old by reaching the age of 25, the sisters would kill them. One girl was even buried alive, with others being beaten to the degree that their heads were in pieces. Others had hot irons applied to their skin, while others were thrown from the roof. If girls fell pregnant and were too weak to serve the brothel patrons, they would be murdered. Once the babies were born, they were all killed and buried, with the exception of one who was sold to a client who wanted to sexually experiment with the male baby. If one of their most popular prostitutes fell pregnant, they would perform forced abortions so as not to lose income. Girls were also allegedly forced to perform sexual acts on animals. They were also forced to take care of and clean the ranch, as well as assist in recruiting other prostitutes. Additionally, male patrons who showed up with a large amount of cash were killed for their money. Many people assisted the girls, including Francisco Camarena Garcia, who was in charge of transporting the recruited girls, Enrique Rodriguez Ramirez, who was also in charge of transporting the girls, Hermenegildo Zuniga Maldonado, who was Delfina's lover and the bodyguard and caretaker of the brothel, Joseph Facio Santos, who was the watchman and caretaker of the ranch, as well as Salvador Estrada Covanegra, who beat the prostitutes, who either protested or threatened to leave. In January 1964, Catalina Orlega, one of the most recent girls to arrive at the brothel, escaped and headed to the police station of Leon, Guanajuato. Authorities issued arrest warrants for the three sisters. The case sent shockwaves throughout Mexico and was widely publicized in the magazine Alarma. Arriving at the sisters' properties, police found the bodies of 80 women, 11 men and several fetuses. It is suspected that they may have killed as many as 150 individuals. It was Francisco Camarena Garcia who was forced to dig up the shallow graves. Only Delfina and Maria de Jesus were arrested, as Maria Luisa was on the run. They were taken to a jail in San Francisco del Ginson, with a judge sending them to the squalid Irapuato city jail. A week later, Maria Luisa turned herself in to a police station in the nation's capital city, Mexico City, fearing that she was going to be lynched. According to the sisters, the murders were carried out by Hermenegildo Zuniga Maldonado, Delfina's lover. Maldonado was a captain in the army. After a court case that lasted several months, the sisters were sentenced to 40 years in prison, serving their time in Irapuato, Guanajuato. The matriarch and leader of the group, Delfina, went mad in prison, fearing that she would be murdered while in prison. She would be the first to die at the age of 56 on the 17th of October 1968, when construction workers doing work above her cell dropped a bag full of cement on her head while catching a glimpse of her, killing her instantly. Maria Luisa died in November 1984 while in prison from liver cancer. Her body was not discovered for days, by which stage it had been devoured by rats. Maria de Jesus was the only sister who was released and served her 40-year prison sentence. She would die in 1990. The sisters' crimes became infamous in Mexico, and the film Las Piquanchas by Felipe Zaslas was made in 1976, while the novel Las Muertas by Jorge Ibargüengoitia was published in 1977. In 2002, workers cleaning land for a new housing development in Purísima del Ginson, Guanajuato, down the road from Lorna del Angel Range, found the remnants of 20 skeletons in a pit. Mexican authorities believe that the victims were buried there in the 1950s or 1960s as victims of Las Piquanchas. However, with the passage of time and the death of all four sisters, this could never be proven. If the sisters had indeed murdered these individuals, Las Piquanchas murdered at least 111 individuals. However, the exact number of individuals that they murdered will most likely never be known. Thank you for watching. Please do yourself a favour and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to inform you when new videos come out. Also, why not hit that like button and leave a nice comment? It helps more than you know, and your support is truly appreciated. Until next time, stay awesome, stay classy, be kind to everyone you meet, and have an amazing day.